So her son was killed that morning, 5 o'clock in the morning on his way home from work. And he went and woke her up and said, "Hey, Mom, I'm not coming home. I'm dead." She was very psychic woman. So she comes in my office. She was supposed to bring him to my office that day, and she comes by herself. And she says, "Well, he tells me you don't believe me." And I'm like, "Well, I believe you. I've just never spoken to somebody whose dead son was still with them." And she says, "The only way you're going to believe me is if I tell you you have a shotgun wrapped up in a camouflage jacket buried underneath a bunch of boxes in your basement." And I said, "What does he want me to know?"
Hello and welcome to Self Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Today, my guest is Dr. T. He holds a Doctorate of Chiropractic degree, and he's got a Bachelor of Science degree in human biology. He's a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a certified massage therapist. In addition to being the originator of the world's foremost remote healing training, which is called TNT, or Total Knowledge Technique, Dr. T is also the author of 10 online programs designed to transform the most common things that ail humans and animals using focused attention, angels, and quantum physics. Dr. T, thank you so much for joining us on Self Talk.
Thanks so much for having me, Rachel. So it's nice to be here.
Yeah. So I would love, there's so much to go into, but I would love to just start at the beginning. How did you get into this line of work?
Through my own suffering is how I got into this line of work. My father was a chiropractor, and my brother became a chiropractor, but I just I didn't have any interest in, I don't know, just had no interest in. I was just curious on other things, and I liked farming. I liked working with my hands, mechanics, and these sorts of things. And I just kept getting injured really bad injuries, and through pain of years of pain. I finally found somebody who did something that no one else did, and that just opened my eyes to the healing field. And he was instrumental in saying, "Hey, you'll never figure. You're a curious cat." And I said, "Yeah, I'm curious. I got 9 lives. I've used 8 of them up." And he's like, "Yeah, I know you have." We'd have these conversations. He's like, "Well, you'll never figure out the human body." And I just remember waking up one morning and having that deep in my mind. And I had a landlady at the time who was really, God bless Ida Murray. She's long gone now, but she just kept saying, because I was just doing different things. I was a police and fire dispatcher, 911 operator, which required a lot of things at once. And so I kind of kept my interest for a while. And then I got to a place in a different town. It was just kind of boring. I was like, "God, there's no shootings here. There's no bank robberies. This is illegal parking. I mean, come on." And so I quit that and I became a goat herder. And in that time is when all this happened to me, where I woke up and I just had this desire to get into this field. And it's been good ever since.
Wow. So you have a lot of modalities that you use. Did you start with one and the others came in, or did it all come in a big crash for you?
I just am so curious. Anytime I would see something, I would just go to it and check it out. The remote stuff happened early, though. I think it was my first seminar I went to. Was this old guy. He was like 92 back then, and I still have the paperwork around here somewhere. I can't remember the name of it or anything, but he was looking at different vertices around the brain and how you can track down organs that were deficient through them. So it was kind of a nutritional muscle testing class. And I went to him at break the first day, hour 2. And I went over to him, "Hey, I got this question." I'm all excited, and he goes, "Hold on. You stay right there." And he reaches down, he touches down here, and he goes like this. And he's kind of looking at it. He's kind of looking off in the distance. And he goes, "Okay, what was your question?" I go, "Well, what the hell was that?" and he's like, I was just fixing Rachel in New York. She had some heart murmurs this morning. And so I just took care of them for her. And I was like, oh, okay. And, with all this curiosity and this excited kid, it just scared me. I was just like a dog. My tail went to my leg. He was like, "What was your question?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about that. We'll talk to you later." I left. I took off.
Wow.
And I just couldn't wrap my mind around this idea that, sure enough, later on, I find out that's the heart meridian that he rubbed. And he was just focusing in on that, using acupuncture to correct a heart meridian remotely. And I stumbled onto somebody a couple of weeks later in a big professional seminar where I saw a guy in the corner kind of doing some stuff. And I says, hey, you're working on somebody somewhere else. He says, yeah, don't tell anybody. I said, okay. Because this was a professional, chiropractic seminar. You don't want to talk that woo-woo stuff there. You can't talk energy medicine or none of it. You can't talk about any of that stuff at this professional seminar. So I tracked him down at lunch and said, hey, what the hell is going on? He says, check out quantum mechanics, look at Heisenberg, look at this, look at that. Dude, all you got to do is look, and you, when you know physiology, you can change it. And so that's where it started. And then I met another doctor probably a month or two later, Dr. Lawrence, I can't remember his first name. He's gone now. And he's the one who demonstrated it for us, showed us, and that was it. It took off from that point on. I think it was a week or two later, I had my first remote miracle with a woman who was in a hospital getting ready for a quadruple bypass surgery. And she got up at 3:00 in the morning and walked out. I worked on her through her son. Back then, I thought you had to do all these certain things. So anyhow, that's where it all began. And that was probably the second month in my chiropractic training, which was, 7 years. I didn't have any college come out of high school. So I had to do all the pre-med stuff. So I did 3 years of that and then 4 years of chiropractic college. So but I was working the entire time treating people because I had my massage certificate and my clinical hypnosis certificate. So I was already, by the time I got done with school, I was already a waitlist practice.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you said something that just made, you and I were talking about Carl Jung and archetypes and such before we got going in the episode. And it just reminded me of the hero's journey, where you get exposed to this remote distal healing and you're like, I'm out. The refusal of the call to the journey, right?
Yeah, it gets deeper than that. I'm going to write a book on all the little details, but we don't have time to get into all the little things. Yeah. Just like, okay, how the hell I'm even here right now is a miracle. I mean, it just is just a miracle. And what I'm doing is I never imagined I'd be doing any of this. Yeah. And I wouldn't be if it wasn't for my clients who were like, you've got to put this together and teach. They just wouldn't leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And all of them, I could name about 4 or 5 of them. Sharon was probably the biggest one. It was just like, she would just come in and sit and talk to me for 45 minutes. Okay, can you fix my knee? Hey, I fell down at this. I'm just like, what are you paying me for? To come in here and chew me out and tell me I got to put this into a program. And so anyhow, once I did decide to do it, it's, this is angelic realm we're talking about. And they just started showing me things, little tiny hints of how to have more access, how to pass this on, how to have a little more insight into how to make this teachable. And so that's how this all has happened.
Yeah. Well, you just made a beautiful segue to my next question, which is, how did you get started working with angels?
Well, it was a client. There's a big background. I had an angelic experience. I had a near-death experience when I was a kid. An angel saved my life. And we've all had these experiences, but we usually just chalk it up to a coincidence because we can't see them. But I actually saw it. I mean, it was just, all it was a bright light. Didn't see the wings or any of that stuff, but it was a bright light. And there's no question I was dead. I got shocked by a welder. And so, back then, this was probably 1978. I think I was 13 or 14. Mm-hmm. And I I went home and told my dad, I said, shut up, get to bed. What do you mean you got shot? I don't care. I mean, you're walking and talking, this is just how it was in my household, and so there was no one to really talk to about it. And this, I was just a kid. So I really didn't know what happened. I just thought I thought I imagined everything. So I floated up out of my body, saw the doctor standing on a table, shaking her head. No, nothing we can do. And a woman's voice comes in and boom, flash of light. I wake up on the floor. I'm like, shit, what a trip, man. I mean, I think I had just started smoking weed back then when I was a little kid. So I just kind of chalked it up to a hallucination,
Right.
I didn't know what the hell was going on. And so I rode my bike home and I kind of just forgot about it over the years. And I always remembered it, but I just didn't really put much, I was just like, whatever. I just imagined it all. Well, I've had other experiences in life where I know angels are out there keeping track of all of us. And everyone listening has had these experiences where we just, something happens, you just miss getting in an auto accident, or you have something happen that you could have died from, or been seriously injured from. And we just chalk it, I'm so glad that, cop pulled me over and stopped me from getting in that 20-car pileup right up ahead there, Of course, we're mad at the cop, but we don't realize he's an angel saving our butt,
Right.
So it was a client who came in, and she had a son who had passed away that morning. He was killed in a car accident. And she said, He's still with me. And I said, okay, well, that's amazing. And she says, so her son was killed that morning, 5 o'clock in the morning on his way home from work. And he went and woke her up and said, hey, Mom, I'm not coming home. I'm dead. She was very psychic woman. So she comes in my office. She was supposed to bring him to my office that day. And she comes by herself. And she says, well, he tells me you don't believe me. And I'm like, well, I believe you. I've just never spoken to somebody whose dead son was still with him. And she says, the only way you're going to believe me is if I tell you you have a shotgun wrapped up in a camouflage jacket buried underneath a bunch of boxes in your basement. And I said, what does he want me to know? Okay. He picked the one thing. I mean, I'll never forget the story. I just about lost it. I was like, okay, because no one knew that was there. He could have said a whole bunch of other things, but that was the only thing no one knew was there, including my girlfriend, who we just moved into this house. And so I said, well, what's he want me to know? And he started telling me about angels. And she talked, she just talked. It was her voice. She just was talking. Well, here's those. And he covered it all. He covered when I was a little kid. He brought that up. That was the first thing he did. Remember when you were a little kid, you got shocked? I was just shocked. I mean, I couldn't believe what was coming out of this woman's mouth. And she continued and told me all these times. I mean, I'm not joking about having 8 lives spent. I mean, this has been kind of in my life. I'm adventurous. I'm curious. And you get into a lot of places that, can cause troubles at times. I mean, I've almost drowned. I've fallen through ice fishing, fell off a cliff one time. A friend saved my butt. A lot of near misses in that, cars, motorcycles, all these things. And he went through them really fast. And I was just like, oh my God, I was just in shock.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about the house I was in Los Angeles and how they brought me there to do this healing because we had 40 acres of open space behind my house. It wasn't mine. It was open space. But that was all nature to have the energies. I mean, I'm in the middle of Los Angeles, 30 million people, and I have 40 acres right down my backyard. It went all the way out to the mountains up north. And the whole story is just, you can't hardly wrap your mind around, but that's what he said they brought me there for.
Oh, wow.
And all you have to do is call them in. And I'm like, okay, well, how the hell you do that? So they leave. Probably 10 years goes by. I mean, I started looking at angels and I looked at this, I just didn't have the whereabouts, but I was still studying all these other things. I continue my hypnosis training. I mean, I'm a big fan of the mind, body. I love intentional based work. And finally, one day a woman comes in, a client, she's been a client for a long time, and she plops a book in my lap and says, hey, read these 2 paragraphs here. And it was about how to call angels in for healing. Basically, is what the book was, old book. And so she said, I want you to do that for me. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it like this. This sounds silly. You got to call, you got to name them, you got to call them, you got to do this, you got to do all these things. This is just, I'm not going to do this. I'll do it my way. She said, go right ahead. And we had a miracle on the spot. She had something that just no one could touch. I couldn't touch. We just weren't having any results. She was burning from her mouth to her anus. Her entire body was burning all the time. And it disappeared in 20 seconds, 15 seconds. And that's where the launch pad, that was it. Once I had that right in front of me, I couldn't deny it. When you see something, you see it, you believe it. And when you believe it enough and you see it enough, then it goes to faith. And when you have faith, that's when magic happens. That's when you step into the office and, I know that most stuff is going to get better.
Yep.
And that faith translates to the angels kind of like that. They really like it. They at least like belief. So that's the first thing I teach in my class is I show it to you, not by me, but by the people in the class who have never done any healing. We have a housewife who heals something from across the room and everyone goes, the person across the room with, 15 years of knee pain stands up. Wow, I can't believe it. It's gone. Everyone says the same thing, same time, the same way. Everyone says, really? I mean, we are so conditioned. We can't even believe it when it's right in front of us.
Right. So, so this is something that can be taught, as I'm getting from what you're saying here. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And with your knowledge of hypnosis and, just the subconscious, the power of the subconscious and the mind over body and all these things. I saw a video when I was in training to be the clinical hypnotherapist years ago. She had this old classic video that was nonverbal hypnosis. And I just was like, I burned that tape up. I watched it so many times. These guys were really cool what they were doing. I can't find it. I lost it in the move somewhere. I've been looking for it. But they would do all these odd things to the body, and then they would give the correction, basically the correction statement, the script, non-verbally. And the woman would leave, and they'd show her come back in. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. I stopped smoking. I'm doing this. And, I don't stutter anymore. I'm losing weight. It just changed my life. And I'm just going, what the heck is that? I mean, I kept watching to see if there was some kind of, there's no absolutely non-verbal. So I started practicing with that and started looking at that. And the angels gave me some insights into that, what they're doing. And that's all intention. Obviously, that's all intention. But there's certain ways that you can transfer that correction statement in a high-powered way. That's more high-powered than me telling you, hey, of course, everybody can work with angels. And all you got to do is ask them, and they're going to help you. There's a way to do it that gives you more access, gives you instantaneous access, just like I have. And so that's where I learned it. And then they kind of showed me the last few pieces. We have certain energies that come out of our hands and certain portals in our cranium that we can open up and do I just come in and I tell you, here's how it's done. I mean, I don't tell you anything. I just think it. It's intention. But it goes right through, and it goes right through instantaneously. And this next class that I'm doing, I always tell people, we're going to show you before noon the first day, someone having a miracle. And we're going to do it in the first hour this time. I'm just changing the format, how I'm teaching it. I'm going to find somebody who's never done any healing at all. We have a few lay people coming, and they're going to have a miracle in this class before the first hour. Wow. And then I'll teach them all the ins and outs of all the stuff that goes wrong in the body, and how the process works. I've laid it out like a recipe. So you just do the same thing over and over. It's 3 main things: body, mind, spirit, basically. Physical. Yeah. We're having housewives. We're having dog walkers. You're going to stop walking dogs and start fixing the dogs. So it's been a real joy to see some of I have a banker. He's having amazing results. We have a mother who's fixed her kids. They don't call me anymore. I'm getting broke. Makes me mad. I should have taught her so well. It's real though. And watching, being able to pass this on is obviously why I'm alive still.
Right. And, I work, I'm a shamanic practitioner. And one of the things in my training was that, compassionate helping spirits want to be helpful. They want to be helpful. They don't have a body. You do. So you are the one who can work in this plane with their assistance and, be the vessel of that, or the messenger of that healing. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Absolutely. And again, everybody has access. Everybody can ask for angelic help. You can all ask for help. We all can do that. And I remember lying around sometimes when I was sick, just lying around going, God, please put me out of my misery. Help me or kill me. Because I am sick of it. I mean, I just was that miserable for many, many years. And but this is a little different. We have knowledge now that how we can use these angels, and this is this is all out there in the field. So I've pulled a lot of stuff. This isn't all on my own. But Royal Rife is out there. I don't know if you've ever heard of Royal Rife.
No, I haven't.
Royal Rife was a scientist back in the 1920s who came up with the knowledge of matching frequencies and destroying pathogens with like an electric beam. And there's his devices are out there these days, but they're just not. They don't do what we're able to do with angels. But there's some of those concepts I pulled from old knowledge and have plugged it into this package, because we're doing stuff that just there's just I don't know where people can get help for a lot of these things. I don't know if we want to get into that or.
Yeah, I do. I wanted to ask about pathogens anyway, because that's a really important, there's a lot of stuff out there. But can you describe briefly for the listeners what pathogens are and how they affect our health?
Well, we have all of them. We all know about viruses now.
Yes, we do.
So, just a little bit, and so there's viruses, bacteria, molds, fungi, yeast, mycoplasmas, prions. There's cell wall deficient forms. There's tons of parasites. All these things we're full of them all the time. They used to think blood was sterile until the microscopes got better, and they're like, holy shit, what's going on in there? Things are swimming around and jumping up and down. Yay, they're having a party in us. And we need them. We have to have them. They're part of our being. But what can happen is they start getting out of balance. A lot of the sugars, a lot of the breads, a lot of the bad food, the processed food, a lot of the stuff that we put in our bodies, poisons, start creating imbalances. And then these things will start getting stronger. And I mean, look what we've done with antibiotics. We have this MRSA. People can Google cell wall deficient forms. They can Google superbugs are out there now where they can't clean colonoscopy devices. They put them in an autoclave, they bring them out, and they see pathogens on them. Bacteria that's surviving autoclaves. They're finding it in lava. I mean, there's all this stuff that we can't, doctors can't talk about because there's nothing to do with them. They don't have the answers for these things that are driving all this ill health. You ever have a paper cut that just won't go away? I always use this example because just about everybody's opened an envelope, had a little tiny paper cut, and that son of a gun won't go away, right? That's a pathogen. When there's inflammation in the body, these pathogens will move in there and set up shop, and they don't like it to heal. They like it to be open wound. They like that inflammation. They eat it. It draws other poisons from the body to it that become food for them. Probably the biggest, craziest stuff we find are these cell wall deficient forms. I mean, we had 2 years of microbiology, really tough class. It was a very tough class. We had a lot of just one of these classes is hard. It's hard to get through. We spent 2 minutes on cell wall deficient forms, 2 minutes.
Wow.
Well, don't worry about that stuff. That doesn't do anything. If you Google it, you'll see a book on it out there and take a look at that stuff. This woman did unbelievable experiments with these. She would find a chicken limping around with a bad knee. She'd take serum out of that knee and put it into the neck of another chicken. And within a week, that chicken would start walking around with a bad knee. Look at all the knee replacements. Look at all the shoulder replacements. Look at all the stuff that we're doing to the body. That's bone on bone. I've heard bone on bone 1,000 times, and we've stopped that 1,000 times. We've probably stopped over 1,000 knee replacements, probably. I know the doctors aren't going to want to hear that, but it is better. And when they do get them replaced, why are so many of these, if they aren't failed, why are people still in pain? What's happening there?
Right.
Those are pathogens. Pathogens go towards inflammation. The body doesn't like implanted metals and implanted things. That's why the body will stay in a state of real minor rejection. It won't be crazy, but it'll be minor rejection. Right. And pathogens go towards that inflammation. Well, we can shut that off. I teach you how to shut that stuff off within 10 seconds.
Yeah. So even if it's like chronic pain, something you've had for years and years. Yeah. We just had, I'm doing these free calls, which I know this isn't going to be broadcast for a while, but when this finally does come out, if you go to ahumanengineer.com, it'll probably be about time we are ready for our next class. And I do what I call show and tells. I don't do question and answer. I don't want a bunch of bad questions and just answer them about this technique. I show you on these telephone calls. We do it on Zoom with 25, 30 people. And we have 2 coming up. I'd love to have you get on one and check it out. It's I think it's tonight, and I think again on Saturday morning. But we're getting up. I have 25 people on, 80% of them write back and say it's 90% because I have everybody check their body, check your neck, check your hands, squeeze your ankles, squeeze your knees, check your entire body before we start. And then I just bring in these angelic frequencies and see how much improvement we get. 80% are getting 80, 90% better. Wow. And then we narrow it down to, okay, who has back pain? Oh, you, okay, 5 people have back pain. I do.
You have it right now?
I have a L5S1 degenerative disc disease that has started to, I have iliopsoas tension, and I've had it for 3 years. And so I've had an epidural procedure, I stretch, I do, but
get on the call. I'll fix that for you. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it before we're done here because we'll get it started because and never do an epidural, never do that.
I don't want to have another one.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. Because and degenerative disc disease. Okay. So why is it degenerating?
Age is what they said.
How old are you? You're my age.
I'm 52.
I'm 57. Mm-hmm. I don't have any discs in my low back. They're gone from all my injuries. I'm not in pain.
I know. So what the heck? Yeah.
Well, that's a pathogen. That's a pathogen. If you ask me, that's a pathogen. So if you lean side to side, you can feel pain.
It's actually when I move laterally. So like I have low grade pain. Listen, I'm getting work on. I have low grade pain in my right psoas all the time. And it really starts to hitch when I move laterally, like in the kitchen when I'm cooking.
That's the same. That's the only thing that causes pain on me. I don't have any discs. They're all gone. The only same thing with me is if you move side to side laterally, that's kind of normal for this kind of injury that you have. But we'll fix that.
Oh, great.
We have some time. We'll keep talking, and then we'll fix that towards the end, and then you can get on one of my calls, and we'll.
Oh, I definitely.
When you have the degenerative disc disease, it is many times you need more than one treatment. I mean, we're not going to have 100% resolution unless it's relatively new. If it's chronic for a long time, it's harder to have it resolved, in one session. But so many things are. It's unbelievable. We had a guy who had a hernia surgery in his inguinal ligament. I think it was 9 months prior. 9 of 10 pain. And you're a man and you have this pain in your inguinal ligament. It's just no fun. It's close to your private stuff. Every step hurts. He was absolutely miserable, and we got rid of all of it in 30 seconds.
Wow.
On one of the calls. And that's just one. We've had so many. I mean, I can't even keep track of how many, I don't know what you call it. You have to call it a miracle because there's nothing else you can call something like that.
Yeah.
He's 1,000 miles away. I was in Nicaragua. What else do you call that?
Well, that's that. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the next question I had for you. When it's hard for people to imagine that you can do this remotely, do distal healing. And I do it. I've done it shamanically, but, I work with my helping spirits. I don't want to take credit for that, but, I work with people distally. And so help people to understand how that works. It seems strange to have a physical ailment that can be relieved without you laying on of hands. And I know you've talked a little bit about it today, but help us to understand.
Well, it's all quantum mechanics. It's all applied. I call it applied quantum mechanics. And that is, the act of observation changes the outcome of an experiment in a nutshell. So when you look at something, we're little mini creators. I mean, we're little mini gods. I mean,
that's right.
I'm kind of joking, kind of not. But when you understand how that works and you understand physiology, like I teach you, and physical things, how I teach you, you're able to have that knowledge and through intention, create a different outcome anywhere in the world. And really what this describes is the idea, the concept that we all are truly one. So when I'm doing these calls, I have 30 people on there. I'm not trying to get to each individual person. Mm-hmm. I'm just bringing this vibration in for everyone at once. I'm imagining I'm working on one person, but it goes to everyone. Mm-hmm. So are only the people on the call getting affected? No, it's actually everyone in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can't not be any other way.
Right.
It's just maybe they're not feeling it because it's so dilute through the universe. I don't know. But I believe that that's what's actually happening. So by having, knowledge of, like for example, anyone who has degenerative disc disease has no idea it's a pathogen. No one knows this. You didn't know it. No one knows it. Nobody. Chiropractors don't know it. Well, I got degenerative disc disease. Okay, we're going to do all these things. Acupuncture, everybody, no one's looking at pathogens. No one. Nobody. I don't know. Maybe some people are. I haven't met them yet. They sure didn't look at it for me. And so that's how it works. Once you have the knowledge of how applied quantum mechanics works, a little more knowledge of quantum mechanics, how when enough quanta gets together, it becomes a molecule. Molecules become matter. We can mold that stuff. I mean, some of the things I'm doing remotely. On the call we had this was a one-on-one session I had with a woman in New York, actually. And she was so pissed off. It was hysterical. She said, how is it you are in Nicaragua and you can fix my neck? And I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars going from one person to another, and they can't get any of this relief out. And I just said, well, they just aren't looking at what was actually driving it. The neck has certain very special tissues inside the joints of Luschka in the neck that love to collect and hold on to pathogens. So you can have your neck cracked until you're black in the face. They're all coming back. It's all coming back because it's just a matter of time before they start having sex. And the family grows, and they do a process called sensum quorum, where they come out and they cause pain. And so these are the kinds of things that I know from 25 years of clinical experience that we're able to fix really fast. We got to fix this back for you. We can't leave you like this. Let me just do this really quick. Are you fine with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay,
We'll make it one part of the show.
Yeah, so you'll just take a breath in and relax your mind into that seat so that you're just, the angels like to have the mind quiet. That's all. Oh yeah. So the lumbar spine also has all these specific joints that face, they're just different than the thoracic spine and the cervical spine. And sure enough, all those disc spaces down there are all, yeah, you got it pretty good, don't you? You said like 3 years has been going on?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of felt your pain before I started, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. It's always important to have a baseline of how you are before and after, or we just, everybody says the same thing. Well, I don't know. It wasn't that bad today. Here's your psoas on your left. And we do what's called a slinky. We just make it feel like a slinky. And there's the right. Adjust your pelvis. Yeah, most people don't know that psoas muscle comes down and attaches down on your leg.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And where it inserts actually clear up into the thoracic spine. Where it inserts, you have a problem at also. That's why it's spazzing. Mm-hmm. And here we are down here on your, I think it's your lesser trochanter. I get my anatomy mixed up a little bit. Once I've been working with angels, they don't really need all that. So let's have you move around and just recheck that, see what happened right there.
Okay. Well, it's here, I'll show you. Mm-hmm. It's right here where it's you can see right into there.
That's the inguinal ligament. And that actually is a different muscle. That's more your sartorius right there.
Yeah. I thought at one point that it was like a hip like inside, like I had arthritis, but that's not what it is. It's almost right in the groin area is where it gets the most people. And you're right down the leg as well in the front, And
let's just have you stand up again and just recheck it again.
Huh. It's definitely not twinging right now.
Yeah, I was kind of more focused on the psoas and yeah, this is more your sartorius, which crosses your knee. It's called the psoas muscle. And so when you pick up your leg and cross it, let's actually have you do that with your left leg over to your right leg. So your good leg, cross your leg over to your right side. So I'm just using the concepts of acupuncture to help iron out your nervous system, which is the opposite side of the body, is about 50% of what's wrong. And then you can straighten your leg back out again. We're going to do a slinky on that. Boing. I like to make noises and kind of have fun with it because it's just imagination. Here's a slinky and that's your muscle. Doing. Mm-hmm. Let's do it again. Doing, doing, doing. And a little more up here. Yeah, it's pretty deep in there actually. Got more stuff going on other than just this. But let's have you recheck that, see what happened.
You can hear me as I walk around my office. It was twingy before, and it seems a little more fluid now.
How much less tenderness is there?
There is less tenderness for sure. I can't really gauge it. I guess before it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't like really bad. So it was probably at around a 4. Now I could say it's easily at a 1 or 2.
Okay. Let's do a little more here. There's an emotional component here. Mm-hmm. When did you hurt yourself, or did this come out of the blue?
This came on. Well, I'm sure it came simultaneously. I was weight training. It really actually happened when I was deadlifting a lot of weight. That's when it started to hurt. But there was also emotional stuff going on at that time. Sure.
Degenerative disc disease, well, son of a bitch, I'm only 52. It causes some grief in the body. And so just stay with it for just one more moment. There you go. Very good. And you're going to take a small breath in down to the area that was still painful. Small breath in down to that area. And you're going to tell it in your mind, I see it, I recognize it, and I release all of that grief. As you breathe out, see it come up and out of your body. And it's a real simple metaphor. It's a little powerful thing for you to use your own intention. So do it one more time. Small breath in down to that inguinal ligament area. I see it, I recognize it, and I release that. And then I'm going to ask you to move your mind over towards what it would feel like to be totally free of the past and instead be totally present, surrendering to all that life has brought. Just imagine what that would feel like to be, just sitting in that chair, having that peace of mind roll back in, just being able to accept all that life has brought. I mean, life is beautiful. We go through these things, and the good and the bad are all just opportunities for us to learn and to love and to grow. And so I talk to you so that your mind has something to follow. But I'm just holding intent for these angels to come in. And they bathe your spirit. They free you from some of the distressors of life, some of the experiences of life. They remind you of the beauty that you have. They restore your confidence, and they just really fill you with love and change that vibration of grief. But the mind is funny. The mind has to have a roadmap, or else you will think about lunch. I know it's lunchtime there. And then just take a little breath in and a little breath out. And then let's have you recheck it again.
Pretty fluid, Dr. T, pretty fluid.
That should take care of a lot of it. Get on one of these calls, and I will track you down, and we'll finish that, because there's a little more to do in there. But you just go to the website, and it's the first thing you'll see is free live calls, and you just click on that, you register. I can't believe I even know that. I finally saw my website after a year. It's just not, it's just not what I do. Thank God I have a great team that's keeping track of all that stuff. And they've done. I've never asked anybody for a testimonial ever in my life. It kind of feels kind of weird. I'm just not a self-promoting doctor,
Sure.
But they have to, they're doing it. They're getting the word out. We're having absolute miracles on there. Please, bring anybody who's having difficulties. And on this call, we're going to narrow down low backs. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. We're going to do more emotional stuff. And actually you'll see, well, you won't have it now, but you'll see people who are like, wow, that's really hurts. You have a spot underneath your arm that really hurts when your heart channel is closed. And so we open that up for everyone, and really just try to get everyone present so they can see what's going on in their life.
Beautiful. So that leads us to, and thank you so much for that. That was pretty wonderful. And so please do tell us again how listeners can find you and maybe get on one of these calls or even receive training or work. Yeah,
it's A Human Engineer, ahumanengineer.com. So it's just A as in Adam, human, regular human spelling, and engineer, common spelling, .com. And I'm also doing these programs finally. And it's impossible to see me one-on-one. It's just, I'm just too busy. I can't do it anymore. So I created these programs that are over the course of a month. And so it's an hour a week for a month. And oh my God, they're absolutely amazing. And that's the best way if you're struggling and you're just not getting any help out there, you have something weird. I think we're calling it crazy unknown shift, because like these degenerative disc diseases, spinal stenosis, allergies, chronic long-term pains. If you're having to see somebody every couple of weeks because it keeps coming back, that's the stuff we fix. We fix the arthritis, we fix the necks, we fix the back. I mean, we just fix stuff that no one else is fixing. We're doing floaters in the eyes. We're doing teeth sensitivity. We're doing, you name it. We're doing all the stuff that you just can't get any help for.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And so I will have all of these, obviously I'll have your website URL in the show notes. And Dr. T, I just want to thank you so much. It's been quite a pleasure, and I will be on one of your calls.
Get on this call.
Tonight.
I'd love to have you. I can't wait to see you, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Take care.
You too.